Hi, this is Mike Peaslee from Soundiron, and we're going to talk about Flatulus and why it exists, because that probably needs to be ceased. No, it's an awesome new fart library we made, a real fart library made with real farts. Every single one of them is authentic and produced by a member of our team, or in a couple cases, my son, who's 4, and was able to produce far better farts than I was. It also, and also here with me is director of production Gregg Stephens, who is the actual maestro of the fart orchestra. He is our primo ballerino? No. What is he? No, he's our soloist. He's our solo fart. He has the most amazing
first
farts.
Chair. Yeah, he's the king.
First chair. He's the king. He's first chair. And then artist Spencer Nunamaker, who designed the amazing volcano art and the overall style and look of the library.
Hello.
And captured the soul of it. And then Nathan Boler, our sport manager,
and contributed
producer
money to the library as well.
Yeah, who all contributed? It was you or like a good half, I'd say, of the farts are Greg.
Well, yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never done that.
You never farted?
I don't even go to the bathroom. Oh my goodness.
How dare you say I fart?
I don't even have a poop hole.
Yeah.
I think we all. Well, Craig, you definitely did, right?
I tried to contribute as much as I could with the time allowed, but yeah, I just, like I always say, I always think it's so funny that I got a microphone basically at first with the intent of recording farts.
Yeah.
It was just like, hey,
first assignment.
Yeah. Here's the first assignment with this microphone. Go ahead and record some farts. Like, okay. Like, I'd wake up in the morning and just start recording.
I mean, and that's really the best time. The thing that, I mean, because like this discussion of, this is not something we just decided to do, which is, I don't know if that's more shameful. This is something we've been talking about for like literally a decade. We've been talking about this library because it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, you can't say it's like the first instrument, but it's kind of early in human history. It's like
it's the first percussive instrument for sure.
Like, let me a simpler way. So take Spencer's demo, the main Flatulus track, Cushy Tushy City, and you allow any child under the age of 20 to hear it, and they will start dancing. Well, I don't know about teenagers, but anyway, like it's like inherently fucking hilarious. Like, it just makes you happy.
It does make me happy.
Yeah, it's an instant. It's like antidepressant, and it's it's a fart, but it's a lot of farts. It's all the farts. That's the thing. It's an entire song, like a legit song. It's got a melody, like it's like a march, I would say. It's a full-on song made entirely of farts, not just one fart. It's not just like it's an orchestra of farts.
Yeah,
it's all of them. Yeah, it's a composited tapestry of gas arranged. I was commenting to my wife when I was showing it to her. I was like, this is just hundreds of farts, not really altered at all. Actually, like, the demo uses no effects, or there's just audio normalization at the end. But it sounds so good and bad at the same time. It's farts, but it sounds good.
I wouldn't say bad at all. If anything, it's just like my first thought when I heard it was I imagined this like Fartland. It was like the city where there's just like all these farts just like dancing. Like that's what I imagine.
Yeah, I was imagining like a really vintage Disney era animation where everything's bouncing and bobbing. Boom.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or like coming in 2020 from Pixar.
Somebody actually commented on the SoundCloud and said, "We're waiting for the music video."
Yes.
No, there you go. The people have spoken.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, but that, like, that gets to the heart of it. It's like it's like everything is music, and I don't mean that in a flippant sense. I mean that the human mind and how we interact with sound and music is fascinating, and it's all color to us. It's all sound and aesthetic. I mean, a fart is funny right from the point where you're like, I mean, I guess the first few times you fart, you're scared based on, at least both our kids, were like,
what was that?
Yeah. But after a couple of years, it's just the funniest thing. Like, And it just, I don't know, it's just this fundamental thing. And the other part of it is that, we do believe that, it's a challenge to create something cool with sound, because the library has a lot of sound design ambiances and effects as well. And then it's got all these control features. So you can actually literally turn it into, you can turn farts into musical instruments that you could use in serious music. And the idea, it's a challenge, it's a joke, but it's also, I don't know, it's just
how do you make a fart sound cool?
Yeah.
Kind of a showcase for the main UI we've been using for so many releases, and as far as like how far you can take sounds with sound design just in the UI itself.
Yeah. It's kind of it's a joke library, but like Questionably Barbershop, there's a reason for it too. It's not, and maybe just most people are
usable.
Yeah.
That's kind of the main thing. It's like, it is funny. The idea is a joke, but not how we approach it. We're very serious about that with every library.
It's the most serious joke you've ever heard.
Yeah. So, like I'm saying, it is a challenge to turn kind of any sound source into something usable. And like with the source material here, I was surprised actually how little bass there was when you hear some of them and you're trying to make sound design content out of it. Seems like, I'm going to make this like, deep bassy rumble something, and you start warping it. It's like, oh God, the content's just way different than what you expect. So it was kind of fun to do too, because it was a challenge.
Yeah, that was definitely the challenge, because I was like, okay, like, when I was first going through the source material, I was just like how am I going to make anything out of this? And it's like, once I actually started playing around with it, I was just like, oh damn, this is actually kind of starting to sound cool.
Yeah. And like the pitch on a lot of them changes so much that it's hard to grab onto a single note and do anything much with that. So you kind of have to really warp the sounds around a lot.
I found with the chromatic lock feature, you can, between that and the offset knob, you can land on some steady pitches pretty easily.
Yeah.
And as you jump around the keyboard, especially lower, you're lengthening the sample the lower you play. So as long as you play with a pretty like upbeat tempo, which works with the subject matter, because it's like
very jaunty.
Yeah, it's jaunty. Yeah, playful. It can work really well, and you can pull a lot of pitch out of it.
You can do a lot of nice farpeggios.
Yeah. There's just jokes everywhere.
So many puns.
That's why it was so fun.
Yeah, it just makes you just start tossing puns out.
And then you have this secret, inside joke, like, oh, that epic riser I used in? Yeah. That's a fart.
It's a fart. Yeah, I know my first goal when I was doing the sound design, I was like, how cool would it be if I could make some like trailer Brahms sounds out of it? I was just like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to do it, but that was just like my goal. I don't know why. That was just my first thought. Like, let me see if I can do that. If I can, I'll be happy.
Back in the day when I was doing a lot of cinematic game work, there was something I always liked. We'd have these big libraries to draw from, and when you're doing like huge combat scenes or whatever, you need big hits and war sounds and things like that, or creature sounds, and quickly we got into just making our own sounds, because one, it was more fun, and two, you could get more specifically what you were after. But it also taught me that a lot of times you have to use unexpected sounds to achieve a certain result, and there were times when using sounds like farts or sounds like that, really, unexpected, like out of place sounds, but you can grab certain pieces of them. They become really powerful sort of flavor, I forgot to say that, but like flavor agents kind of in a mix that add character that stands out to the ear. It's kind of like, it's very much like painting, where you're adding highlight or something like that. And you're doing it in a way, you go about it in a way that may not be sort of intuitive to an outside observer. So like in sound design for cinematics or film or any of that, you're often using sounds in the way that a painter uses color. You're mixing and blending for the properties of the source. You're not really thinking strictly in terms of like blue, green, red, you're thinking, well, what kind of red, and how do I get that red? Do I need a little bit of a clay color plus some
A little bit of brown,
blood,
maybe ultramarine.
brown? Yeah, like unexpected or components in the mix.
Maybe
So I mean that I'm hoping that people, when they explore this library, it's not just like everything's just all. It's not the same thing. It's like there are literally 200 farts and every one of them's different. This was one of the harder libraries where we, normally when we do effect libraries where you have a bunch of different kinds of sounds, one of the challenges is organizing it after you've got the content. How do you put it in all these little category buckets? Farts pretty challenging. I mean, like sorting them into, sort of character buckets, but there definitely were. There are sad farts, there are happy farts. I don't know. There are
angry ones, definitely angry.
Oh
ones.
yes.
Although that I think that we'll have to do that for version 2 is explore moods when we bring it up to 1,000 farts. That's gonna be more of a life's work probably, unless we can crowdsource it.
Apathetic farts.
Yeah, the crowdsourcing aspect I think will be nice.
That would, yeah. But hey, 200 farts and sound design is nothing to fart at for $9.
I would never fart at that.
No.
I think a cool feature we added on this library is the Chromatic solo button. I think we'll use that again in future releases.
Yeah, probably any library that has effect kind of content where you have a bank of different sounds on different keys. Pick any one of them to play it as a melodic instrument. I mean, we dabbled with that before, but this I think is the simplest way to execute it. So it's really, it's one button, click it, then press the key you want it to solo, and then there you go. So it's really simple, not a lot of fiddling to do. You can just find the sound you like and then go with it.
Yeah, that was definitely sort of kind of a game-changing feature when you guys added that, because it just totally took it from being a fart sound design library into like, oh, you can actually really make music with it because you can, write in actual pitches.
Yeah. So, because I mean, we did sort out, there is a natural chromatic bank of farts in the, if you go down in the menu, it's down at the bottom. And that's like where we basically took all the farts and tried to figure out which ones were kind of closest to pitch, kind of a pitch ladder. And it works, but like that vision of like burp, 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 with farts, like you got to be able to get it. So I mean, the Chromatic solo feature gives you that, and then obviously you can change the different fart sounds or whatever. But I mean, if it can be done with farts, this library can do it for you. It's like the ultimate fart library. I defy anybody on Earth to challenge.
How dare you challenge me to fart?
Crown of the fart masters.
It's the fart machine of my dreams, that's for sure.
The ultimate fart box.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, it's for April 1st and it's fun, but yeah, it's been in the works for many, many, many years, and also, I mean, it really is probably the most modern, like, high fidelity fart collection on the planet at this moment. So, any production people out there who need farts, this is your jam.
Yeah. I mean, it's open formats. The waves are in there. I mean, there's already some folks have already started asking if it's NKS compatible. I'm thinking, well, what would be the light guide key color for this? We're thinking, what's the hex value for brown?
Spencer's on it.
Yeah.
But then there's some dispute now within the company, because Spencer came back with a kind of more of a pea green, a fart green, and we're like, whoa, well.
Whoa, what kind of farts are you having?
Well, I mean, I could see where he's coming from, but I mean, I don't know.
So yeah, the thinking with that is, so if there are colors on lights, so it's going to be emissive, meaning light is shining out of them, so you can't really go too dark, but brown is pretty much any color just taken way down in darkness, but you add some saturation.
And maybe some amber or kind of like orangey.
Yeah, the most common brown you think of is basically orange, but just dark. So yeah, it's an interesting problem, and That's what this whole library was. Interesting problems from start to finish.
Yeah, and then there'll be a matter of like when we submit this to Native Instruments for encoding, and they're like,
What?
what?
They're like, hold on. So what's the library about again? Well, now that you asked, farts.
Yeah, but maybe something for next year. Because that's the fun thing about this is like, and I'm pretty sure is anybody who grabs this library, downloads it, and start loading it up, they're going to realize how fun it is just instantly. But that it's kind of a fun little toy in its own right. It's just fun to play, and I think that's it's useful if you're doing any kind of sound design for film, TV, games, or anything like that. It's gonna come up. It just kind of is.
And
you might as well have the best. Like because I've always sort of followed sound effect libraries, especially the major ones, in terms of their quality and sort of what they have to offer, and they're always way overpriced for what they get. And a lot of the content is ancient, recorded on old equipment.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but if you got to use it in a modern production, you don't really want sounds that sound like they're completely out of place. It sort of spoils the realism. So, this is kind of a little,
It's revolutionary.
Yeah.
In a word.
Revolutionary or revolting depends.
Yeah, it's
depends
fun to try to make kind of sort of like we do kind of do deep dives as a company when we explore kind of a niche library. We go a little overboard, but I think that's sort of the beauty of it. That sort of justifies why it's sort of own thing, and allows us to kind of treat it more like an album in a sense. Put some deeper artistry in it, even if it's farts. Because you gotta admit, everybody likes farts.
Yeah.
If you don't think farts are funny at all, you got a broken brain. I'm sorry. Your brain's kind of broken.
Your brain is broke. That's what the doctor told me.
You don't have to think that's the height of comedy. Obviously it can be a lot more, but if you are just farts are dumb.
Yeah, you've lost your inner child.
Gross. Yeah, dude's like, go take a walk in the sun. Maybe I don't know, pet a cat.
Maybe go fart a little. You gotta get your love back for it,
Yeah, it's one of the most. Yes, it's a super gross sound sometimes, but that's the irony. You go from like the spectrum of all the farts we covered. It's like some of them are like weirdly like cheerful. They're just like, oh, that makes me happy. And then some of them are just guttural and gross, and you're like, oh, that sounded painful.
Dude, I've never been so excited when you actually catch that one that you're like, yes, like that's the one I've been waiting for. Like most of the time you try to be a little bit more discreet about it. Like, oh, let me like walk around the corner. I don't want to have to like ruin anybody's day. But when you're like, let me step out of the room real quick and you have a recorder, just kind of hanging out where farts come from. And then you're just like, yes. Like there was a few times where I was just like, that's it. When you catch like that like 8 or 9 second one.
Oh, man.
I was catch them all.
They're like Pokemon, yeah. Like they're just like whenever they pop out, you just gotta snag them, get them while you can.
Well, once we finished all the principal recording, it was like we kept talking. Oh, I just had one. I wish I caught it because like it's one of the best ones happen after it's all done.
Yeah, that was the worst. I think when there's times where you wake up in the morning and you're like you're half awake, you're making coffee, and then you just kind of let one off without thinking about it, and you're like, oh, should have recorded it.
Maybe for version 2 in a couple years. Let's see what happens. Maybe start save it up, like start researching like foods that cause maximum flatulence. I think lentils were the recommended food staple for that.
Yeah, lentils, broccoli. Oh, what was it that there was something I was eating the other day where I was just like, I got to remember that. I got to write that down for next time.
It had cheese and meat, I believe. All the healthy stuff in it. And then, of course, anything carbonated.
Oh, yeah.
Gas in, gas out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It doesn't have to be like all its volume is and character, I guess. But it doesn't matter if it's CO2 or methane. In fact, it's probably better for the equipment if it's not methane or any of the other. I don't know. We'll have to study.
Usually, the more methane ones were not as loud anyway.
Like for the sake of completion, would the only way up we'd have to record the sound of lighting farts on fire, that gust of flame. I mean, at a certain point, you have to go to the next level. I mean, somebody in YouTube had suggested dog farts, but I feel like that would be an expensive upgrade because, like, I mean, everybody's dog barks all the time, but they don't do it on command. At least mine doesn't.
And they could be moving around with their collar jingling and panting, all sorts of other noise.
Although that would be proof that it's real.
That would add to the authenticity for sure.
That's true.
But it's not isolated.
That's true. It's
not as usable.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like dogs are the best sort of actors. They don't.
Well, I just think that in order to take it to the next level, we'd have to get things like true legato, and we'd have to do all the regular articulations or farticulations, I guess.
Someone.
Sondos.
Yeah, someone commented fart sondo, and I died. I was like,
fart sondos.
That's genius.
Wasn't there a guy who used to? I want to say he used to do like the Jim Rose circus circuit and other things, like a lot of talk shows. He could kind of like fart on command.
Yeah.
But like unlimited, like
basically bringing air up in there too.
Yeah, and they kind of So I mean, as horrifying as that sounds, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that would be like.
Wasn't like Mr. Methane or something like that? I remember I think he was on like the Howard Stern show years ago.
Yeah, I kind of want to. I want to say that's probably it.
But the only thing I remember about that was that I think he was breaking like a speed record for the number of them. So it wasn't so much the length, the volume. I'm sure he was plenty good for all that, but.
I mean, yeah, I think at a certain point, this probably is going to open us up to like people who are like recommending like or like experts. So man, hey, I mean, I think that might be a whole new realm we might need to explore is like fart virtuosos.
The masters of fart.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's a deep demand for that, but
yeah, you don't go to college for farting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got my master's in flatulence.
Well, you don't. Maybe I'm.
Oh.
Nah,
maybe.
I'm also looking forward to like that. This is like that we're gonna be releasing Hyperion strings like within about a month of Flatulus, which is it's like that's Soundiron, right?
Yeah, that's like the complete like antithesis of anything, like from farts to orchestral strings.
It's a way of saying, when we do anything, we go hard. That's what we do. Like, so we're gonna do farts, we're gonna go all the way.
Yes.
And then we're gonna do strings, and we go all the way. So
that's what I love about this job. It keeps it fresh.
The logistics of making Flatulus, it was very. We didn't half-ass this. These are all real. They're all real. We could have had more, but they wouldn't be authentic. Yeah. And just think about the technical logistics of producing this library. It takes dedication.
Yeah.
You have to be always, have a mic within so many feet ready to go
within ass
at
reach.
certain times of the day maybe, or after certain meals,
And it's got to be like the right, it's got to be like fully audible. It's got to sound like a fart, so.
Yeah, we threw some out. They didn't make the cut.
A lot of them where you think you're gonna fart and then nothing.
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah,
that's disappointing. Yeah, we didn't cut any corners. We only cut the cheese.
That's if there was like a mark of like authenticity and quality that we could stamp on this library, but it is real.
I've been seeing a lot of comments saying like, oh, my kid really liked this, or my kid told me to buy this, or it's just kids get it.
Yeah, they know. They haven't been jaded or all their hope blasted away by the fierce winds of adulthood.
They can still appreciate a good old pop.
So wait, we were talking about like at least somebody on this podcast farting. I ain't got nothing right now.
Dude, I'm on my second cup of coffee and I'm a little disappointed. But we should just like sit around. We'll let this podcast go for like 3 hours or however long it takes.
I mean, I guess we could edit it like the time in between, but anybody?
Nope.
No.
I
mean, we gave it all for the library. All of it's in there.
Yeah.
Every last fart. We'll never fart again. We will be broken and cold men who never feel that satisfying release of a fart again because we gave it all to you. That's what's happened here.
I at least feel better I feel better knowing that some of my farts have been immortalized into this library. So if for some reason the doctor was like, Craig, you'll never be able to fart again, at least I'll know I can still go back in time and cherish those memories.
Yep. This is indeed going to be one of those things where we put it on a plaque on our wall. Our grandkids will ask about it and we'll say, I was there.
I was thinking of printing this, the art out on like a big poster and putting it on my wall.
I'm in.
Yeah.
We'll do a run.
Be dope.
Good Christmas card.
Yeah.
It would be a good one.
I would. We need to get a silk screener for doing shirts.
I'd wear it.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah.
But overall, I think it's really been, it's just been such a fun thing to work on, and I'm really glad just to see the comments that have been coming in, like people actually sort of embracing Flatulus, which is pretty funny and awesome at the same time. And just the comments that have been coming in have been cracking me up. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
There were some doubts.
Yeah, I mean, we you worry like, is this gonna be taken the wrong way? Are people gonna be up their own ass, a little too serious? But no, people I think generally get it. It's like it's fun. It's fun. It's real. It's useful when you need it. Obviously, you wouldn't replace every instrument, although you should with it. And pretty much just all music should be just only made with farts now, I would say.
There was a comment where someone said, I don't know where to categorize this. Should I put it with the winds, or was it the winds or the...
For now, I actually had the same problem last night when we were setting it up in the shop. Like, well, all right, so I'm going to put it in the winds and the cinematic effects.
Oh, yeah, winds are brass. That's what someone said.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I don't know.
It's not brass. There's no brass there.
Maybe we should do a poll.
They're like a saxophone, right?
Yeah, can we do a poll on like Facebook or something?
Yeah.
Let's do a poll.
Which folder would you put this in? Winds or brass? Maybe because some of them sound like a tuba?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The sound, but if you get down to the mechanics of it.
There are a few that are kind of clarinet-like. I would say, some of Greg's sound more like an oboe.
I was going for a bassoon. That's what
definitely very musical. No, but it can get up into the kind of the high notes too. It's a very broad range. I mean, it's a broad range instrument.
That's very true.
Well, I think we've probably let this go on quite long enough. I don't know if anybody's still listening, but if they are, thank you so much for supporting us.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun making it, and we hope that everyone has fun using it and whatever you decide to use it for. And I want to hear the demos that people write with this, because the demos we've gotten so far have just been hilarious. But I'm really curious to see how everyone else decides to use it. Yeah, and
in songs, music, or especially if it's Easter egg. If you tell us that you use this in any like legit thing, we will not tell anyone if you don't want us to. So like if somebody worked this into, I don't know, the next some Disney soundtrack, we're not gonna spill the beans. But hey, we'd love to know like where you can hide this.
They're like, I was scoring Mission Impossible and I just dropped a fart right where this explosion happened. I
think that would make sense. I would certainly try it, at least as a sound designer. I'd be like, layer up some farts. Some of them at super low pitch. You probably get some edge and rumble.
Shake the house.
Is that it?
That it? Soundiron team out.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to the Farts, the Soundiron Fartcast.
Soundiron Podcast. All right. Later.